Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fight Insight. Sorry for the long wait. I am going to try to get back to being really consistent and doing all the events. So here we are. Hopefully this is the beginning of me being back on track. I'm here to talk about Dustin Poirier and Dan Hooker coming up on Saturday. I'm super excited about that fight. If you guys have watched this channel at all, watch my last Dan Hooker preview. I'm a huge Dan Hooker fan. I think he might be one of my favorite guys to watch fight right now. There's just something that I really like about that guy. So I couldn't be more excited about this fight. First, we'll talk about the co-main event. We got Mickey Gall versus Mike Perry, and that's a weird one. If it was Mike Perry doing a full training camp, I pretty handily would think Mike would win it, unless Mickey took him to the ground. So the problem here is, here are the good things for Mike. Mike, I think, is stronger than Mickey. Mike's a much heavier puncher. He's much more experienced than Mickey. He's about as much of a dog as you can get. He pushed Jeremy Stevens down at the fighter event, tried to fight Dom Reyes outside the ring, gonna fight Darren Till if they ever run into each other. Mike Perry's just a dog. He's a dog. So you can't question his heart. He's super comfortable with the fight game. He likes it. But the problem is, if you guys follow Mike Perry at all, he's left his team. He says that no coach has ever taught him anything. He doesn't want to be taught by anybody. He is training with these two guys, but I don't know. I think they're wrestlers. He's not going to bring a corner team in. The only person who's going to be cornering him is his girlfriend, who has no experience in martial arts. So, and I've been watching his interviews, and I think he's probably lost his mind. I think he's gone crazy. So that makes it hard for me to think Mike is going to win. To his credit, I think he's going to be stronger. I think he's really good in the clinch, and that's where Mickey wants to get his takedowns from. And I think Mickey's going to have a real hard time getting takedowns in the clinch. I think Mickey is going to have to shoot single legs and double legs, which I don't think he gets takedowns from those positions, but I think he'll have to get them for this fight. Maybe he's been training on it. And I think even though Mike has lost his mind, I think if Mickey stands up with Mike is going to be too much for him. I think Mike just hits too hard. It's too much of a dog for him. But just all the craziness going on, and Mike's hand is all messed up. He posted on the internet, and his hand is all jacked up. So I don't know how that's going to affect him. But if I were going to bet money on this fight, I would bet it on Mickey, just because I can't imagine we're going to see a good Mike out there. So yeah, I would bet money on Mickey, with the caveat being that if Mike wasn't going crazy, I would bet money on Mike to win this fight. Which brings us to our main event, Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker. Like I said, I love Dan Hooker. The problems I do, if I'm honest with myself, the problem that I see for Dan going into this fight is Dan's striking style is, he has two signature moves. He's got an excellent jab and an excellent calf kick. He manages range really well, so he really excels at keeping you back there on the end of that jab, and if you start to get wise to it, he starts hammering you with that calf kick, and vice versa. You start to try to check that calf kick, he starts hitting you with that jab again. He picks you apart from the outside, and then when usually making you frustrated, and we've seen it with Gilbert Burns, Mark DeCossey, Ross Pearson. When he picks you apart out there, you try to come in, and he makes you walk into either his check left hook, his straight right hand, or this beautiful stepping knee. But that is his striking style. He picks you apart out there and then makes you walk into something. And he stays real busy, very laid back, keeps his composure really well, and I love the guy. The problem with that is that he's fighting Dustin Poirier, and Dustin Poirier is a southpaw, and the jab is going to be different against the southpaw than it is against other orthodox fighters. For one, their head is farther away. For two, your lead hands are right on top of each other, so they can they could just cup it in and stop your lead hand. The jab is not as potent a weapon against, the opposite stance. Now the straight right hand and the straight left hand for Dustin, that's the most potent weapon that those two guys have. So I don't know if one of his signature moves is even going to work that well for him out there. And the calf kick. The calf kick is his other signature move. And with the southpaw, he's going to have, the calf kick isn't going to be there as often. I mean, he can still throw the calf kick, but he's going to have to take a step to the left side to land that calf kick, so he'll have to step out to land the calf kick, or he would just be crossing his body, and that would be awkward. So that calf kick is just not going to work the same. So in those two instances, I am really nervous for Dan because his bread and butter I don't think is going to be as effective. And then if you look at Dustin, Dustin is a much better combination puncher than Dan is. Dustin also has a good jab, but Dustin has a more well-rounded striking game. There's more diversity to his shot selection, and much better combination puncher. He'll put together 5-6 shot combos. He changes levels a lot. Dan will change levels, he'll go to the head and to the legs, but Dustin will go to the head, legs, body, and vice versa in odd combinations. I also think Dustin's going to have a punching power advantage. So when I put those things together, I also, not to stray away, but I also think that if Dustin can land takedowns, he's going to be real tough on top of Dan. I think Dan's jiu-jitsu is better than people give him credit for, but his jiu-jitsu is much better than people give him credit for. He's got a pretty dangerous ground game. So if he can mix in the takedowns, it's even going to compound the problems I do think his style is going to bring to Dan. So yeah, if you put that in there, Dustin's punching combinations are more sophisticated, harder hitting. Dan's signature moves aren't going to work as well. Dustin's so seasoned. Even though I want Dan to win this fight, if you were to put a gun to my head, I think the smart move would to say that Dustin's going to win the fight. Caveat being that I think Dan is new blood, and sometimes I think it is good to be new blood because you haven't had your balloon popped yet. Dustin's had his balloon popped a few times, and that can hurt you mentally. I'm not sure that it'll hurt him, but Dan's new blood, and hopefully he can make Dustin walk onto something, because I really want to see that guy succeed. I love his fight style. I love watching him. I really hope Dan wins this fight. But if you were to put a gun to my head, I think that Dustin is stylistically kind of a bad matchup for him. Not to mention, I don't think Dan trains with any southpaws at City Kickboxing, and Dustin has a plethora of orthodox fighters to train with. So yeah, I'll give it to Dustin. Hope not, though. All right, you guys, thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time.